My presentation is on the rise of fascism in post-World War II Germany, as well as the government's influence on it. My presentation's main arguments are the rise of Hitler, Hitler's propaganda, the Versailles Treaty's impact, and communist growth. Hitler's rise was very abnormal for that of a cruel dictator's rise because usually cruel dictators invade and or put themselves in power, but Hitler was actually elected what most people would consider the legal and correct way. He won elections to put himself into office, and then once in office passed legislation that gave him pretty much endless power. But he did come to power the correct way. Now, how could he come to power? The way Hitler won so many votes, A, being there was a very large number of young voters during Hitler's running. Young voters who were less informed and more willing to take tries at a more out-of-the-box solution to what the Versailles Treaty had put Germany in. The Versailles Treaty was the treaty that ended World War I, and it put Germany in extreme financial debt. It made Germany take all of the blame for all of World War I and pretty much made Germany pay all of the war costs back to the Allies. This destroyed the German government. With having to pay off such a high amount of money to the Allies, Germany had to start putting off a ton of money. This led to hyperinflation, which also further destroyed the German economy, pushing it into a massive depression. Hitler came with a solution to this problem that appealed to younger voters. He also used his amazing speaking and his propaganda to showboat his new plan for Germany. Another byproduct of Hitler going into power was communism's growth in Germany. Just like any ruler that wants to gain more power, he wants to take control of a country's economy. So while Hitler wasn't maybe directly a communist, Germany's economy did tend to move more towards communism, especially as the government began to possess all of the Jewish business. So you ask, so what? Why is the rise of fascism in a post-World War I Germany important? Well, obviously, and most keyly, it was the cause of the Holocaust. The Holocaust is a byproduct of not only the rise of Hitler, but the rise of fascism. With the rise of fascism, the German public began to look for someone to blame and to look for a superior race. So their Aryan race became superior, while the Jews became the cause of the failure for World War I and the reason for Germany's misfortune. This is what led to the Holocaust. I have a lot of personal takeaways from my Capstone project. One of the most interesting things for this entire project for me was how Hitler came to power. Growing up, we are taught in school that Hitler was such this cruel dictator, which he was, but it makes it so hard to ever fathom that Hitler could come into power such a peaceful and normal way, very much so just like an election in the United States. Now afterwards he used his powers, but as of his ways of coming to power, it was very normal, even for an American person. Another one of the most interesting parts of this project for me was to see how easily a government could change. Before World War II and before Hitler, Germany was actually a fairly accepting and free country that was a democracy before World War I. But after World War I and the election of Hitler, this took a complete 180, obviously, and got so drastic as cause of the Holocaust. And this only happened in a span of a few years. I found this very interesting as someone who had so much faith in their government. Did the German Jews also have such faith in their government? How fast did this change on these people? Another important takeaway I got from this project was to see a person's morals for what they are. Through Hitler's speaking and his propaganda, he had the entire German public fooled that he was this young, ambitious ruler that could solve Germany's financial crisis, as well as putting German people back in power of the German Empire that it was before World War I. In reality, Hitler coming to power was catastrophic for Germany. They had an amazing year during World War II, and after that, Germany was destroyed because of Hitler's decision-making. That isn't even to take into account his further actions that would later come to haunt Germany even further, like the Holocaust. Hitler's amazing speaking and propaganda fooled the German public into seeing his morals for something far more than they could have been. My difficulties of this project was definitely finding sources. Finding sources can be difficult because it's such a narrow group of documents we're looking at when we're looking at academic writings only. But I found JSTOR and even Google Scholar to be very, very useful to me to narrow it down just to those articles. I also found forming my topic in an argument more difficult. When I picked my topic, I guess I didn't really imagine how I would put it into an argument, and that would later lead to make this a little more complicated than I imagined it would be at first. And these would be my sources with my annotations.